welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's episode was recorded on December the 12th, 2024. I'm your host, gaming psychologist, and with me, as always, trying to run errands,
Caffeine Rage.
On today's show, we will be doing our November Game Club, Satisfactory, slightly late. We will reveal to you the next Game Club, and we're going to talk about the best games of 2024 as picked by NPR staff. Times will be in the show notes following their respective topics. Hello, Rage.
Hello.
What's shaking, Bacon?
Still my front bumper because the car doesn't go into the shop till next week.
Right.
And also discovered some more damage up front, so joy, right?
Of course. Happy, joy. Yeah.
It does appear that, there may have been some bending of the radiator, so we'll see just how my car handles.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like she's leaking, but yeah, it's not a good look, you know?
Sure. Understand that.
But that's also why I was wanting to send her in for seemingly cosmetic damage anyway.
Always better to double check. So we missed a couple of weeks. One week our schedules just didn't line up. Last week we were set to record, and my internet went down. Surprise, surprise. But then after a lengthy conversation with Spectrum support, they were like, okay, fine. It's probably failing equipment. We'll send you replacement equipment. And when I say failing, I mean failed. I was 2.5 days with no internet at the house.
The peasants were starting to revolt.
They revolted immediately. There was no starting to revolt. Like, I'm sitting in the den, which is where the main router and the modem are for the house. And they kept coming like, is the internet down? When's it going to be back up? I don't... It's like the... from, The Incredibles, like, we'll get there when we get there. Like, sitting grumpy faced, like, on the couch, on chat, with customer support. But, once I got the new equipment installed...
they didn't force you to take a tech in?
No, I think I sent you the screenshot where they were like, we'll schedule a tech. And I was like, does the tech really have to come out? Just mail it to me. I'll replace it. And they didn't send me a return label. So I've got the old equipment sitting here in a box. I had to have another conversation with them where I was like, hey, you sent me this and I've got a return box with no return label. So can you please mail me a return label? They're like, well, you can just take it and drop it off at the nearest Spectrum,
where
location.
Is that?
It is 45 minutes away, either in Hickson, which is close to Chattanooga, or Cleveland, which is not close to any recognizable city if you don't live in Cleveland. So, 45 minutes in either, basically south or east from my house. And they're like, oh, yes, we will send you a label. But it's, it's just going to come in a...
And a brown paper bag.
I'm seriously expecting it to come in another box, like a little box, and I'm going to open the box and there's going to be a label. And it's like, you could have just put this in an envelope. But, I'm expecting it to come in another box.
No, it's going to be funnier. It's going to be funnier. You know what it's going to be?
What is it?
It's going to be already affixed to a box that's too small for the modem.
You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. That's what's going to happen. But, then I'll just take, my knife and cut it off and tape it to the original box they sent me with no return label and then return that.
Or the postage is going to be for a package that weighs less than what the modem does. So it's going to be returned to sender.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be massively. It's going to be like, the modem is 1.5 pounds and the label is for a package that's 1 pound, 6 ounces.
Right. and then they'll pitch a huge fit about it. The post office will be weird about it. Yeah, no, you're right.
Because, let's put it this way, it's what I would do.
Right. Well, I'm not dealing with it right now. Getting too close to Christmas.
Woo!
Starting the string of mini holiday things this weekend. We've got House Christmas, of course, for us here at the Cult. And then a little bit, a brief respite. And then normal Christmas with my parents. And then going to Colorado to see the in-laws. So Christmas with them at, New Year's. And then coming home and the back-to-school thing for the nonprofit that we do. Their, back-to-school event. Which is, a Christmas thing. They do, the second week in January. So, Christmas.
Woo.
But really, I'm bah humbug. I'm not a Christmas lover. It's fine. I like giving people gifts more now, but Christmas is Christmas. Just another holiday.
Yeah, I've mostly been shopping for Anita and getting the 4 or 5 separate things that kind of make a whole for her Christmas, her primary Christmas gift.
Yeah.
I did give her a couple things early. You're going to laugh, but I gave her a bathrobe.
Nice.
Because she got really jealous of mine. Because I'm an old man, so I like to lounge in my robe.
Yeah.
And nothing else. I'm joking. Or am I?
I'd love to see it.
Oh my. But, get my nice cozy robe. And I was pretty much, well, you can always get me a robe. You could get me a robe. Yeah, have I mentioned you could get me a robe? So I gave it to her early.
Yeah.
Partly because my robe, I'm pretty sure it would have been dragging the ground,
Yeah.
And finding women's sizes for clothing is fucking weird. Because they don't want to admit to things like having a waist size,
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, what does a 4 mean on this? Your waist is at 4 fucking inches.
It's 1 more than 3, and 1
No,
less
no,
than
no,
5.
no. That's the thing. It's not 1 more than 3 because 3 is a good quarter of the size. So it's not 1. It's some sort of sliding scale that makes no goddamn sense.
I see. Well, I don't, but
So I basically gave it to her early, hoping that it fits, and I went 1 size bigger than I thought she would need, just to play it safe, because, a big, cozy robe, right? And It does work. So, yeah. There is that, and you're going to laugh, but I also gave her a 3-pack of chapstick. Anita is a chapstick fiend. So I gave her the chapstick I found early. It's s'more flavored.
Ooh, nice.
It's a 3-pack. 1 that's chocolate, 1 that's marshmallow, and 1 that's graham cracker.
Nice.
And I thought it was hilarious. Her primary thing, and why it's been a bit of a pain, is that it's a lot of individual things that kind of come together.
Yeah.
So she mentioned briefly that she wanted a rock tumbler.
Oh, nice.
And remember, she's a geology teacher.
Right.
So.
Rock tumblers are cool.
Mm-hmm.
I've thought about buying one, and then I'm like, no, Jared, you don't. You would, use this once, baby, and then you never use it again. Stick to watching the YouTube videos.
Well, I got her a rock tumbler. Basically a booster pack of all the grits, and the rock tumbling filler medium.
Yeah.
Basically everything but the rocks themselves, because that feels a lot more personal,
Right. She's got to go pick her own rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there is that. And not counting the chapstick and the robe, which the chapstick is, damn cheap, and the robe wasn't too expensive. I found an interesting thing to try to do. So, Anita's big on, like, real-life crime stuff. Cold cases, that sort of thing.
True crime. Is she a true crime
Yeah,
lady?
true crime, yeah. Yeah, she loves her true crime TV shows. So, I'm trying one of these unsolved mystery case file packets that we could tackle possibly together.
Yeah. I've seen those. They look neat. I'm not like normally I'm not interested in that kind of thing, but just like.
Well, I didn't get a very expensive one. I mean, there's some that get really in depth. It's multiple cases, that sort of thing. The one I got is from the I'm just double checking my date on this. It's a crime set in the 40s.
Yeah.
Which seemed a little bit more interesting. And it's solving the case, and then there's 3 additional things to figure out after the fact.
Yeah.
So it seemed intriguing to kind of tackle,
Yeah.
And if she likes that, we could make it a thing every so often.
Yeah, most of my Christmas this year, like, I didn't get Katie anything. We had a conversation about it, and it's like, we bought, typically we do, like, a together gift. Like, we've been together, married for forever. We might get each other a little something, but it's like, we'll pick a together gift. It's like, buy this thing for the house or whatever. And it's like, this year, it's like, okay, we bought a new vehicle. Like, that's Christmas. That's birthdays. That's, maybe even next anniversary. Like, it's big purchase. So, I've 3D printed a couple little things for her, and I don't know if she out for me. She probably did, or had King, pick something out. But yeah, probably about the only stuff I'll buy people this year, other than like my Secret Santa here at the cult. It's just gonna be like Steam when the Steam sale rolls around, the after Christmas sale.
Yeah, probably same here. My workplace is also doing a Secret Santa.
Yeah.
And I got a person I don't really care for, but I'm being nice because management, right?
Yeah.
So I want your opinion on this, all right?
Okay.
I got Trish, who is a bit prickly if she doesn't have time to go out and hit her cigarettes that definitely aren't weed, right?
Right.
And she loves 2 things: cussing and cats. So I got her a cussing cat coloring book, a thing of colored pencils, and some cat socks.
Sure. Makes sense. I mean, I like all of those gifts. They sound like really nice, No.
If I didn't kind of, in the process of breaking the bank with my damn car, I saw something I would send you, but I also know that you're going to be in fucking Colorado.
Yep.
So I'm going to send you a link to this, mostly to get your reaction. And who knows, it might show up another time. Assuming, oh no, they took it. They took the thing down. Well, damn. I guess I would have to find a different one anyway. So here's the title. It's another coloring book. All right.
Okay.
The title of it was "Fuck Off, I'm Coloring Dicks."
I love that. I can imagine exactly what it is too.
Well, it was just dicks, but it was the adult coloring book style where it was very complex patterns on the dicks.
Right. I love that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they. I know probably because fuck off, I'm coloring dicks. It's not very family friendly, right?
Oh no, I'd take that shit to my clinic. And I'd just put it in like my special drawer. And the clients that like could handle it, I'd be like, "Hey, do you want to do some coloring while we do therapy?" And they'd be like, "Sure, I guess." And then I pull out the "fuck off, I'm coloring dicks coloring."
This is not the same one, but hang on. Where was the? There it is. This is not the same one that I saw, but there's more than one dick coloring book, by the way.
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are a lot of dick coloring books.
This is a lot more expressive too. So.
Nice. Love it.
And there's also, fuck off, go fuck yourself, I'm coloring. The swear word coloring book.
Live, laugh, fuck off. The adult coloring book with swear words. The Big Adventures of Tiny Dick. Hang on.
Oh.
The Big Adventures of Tiny Dick adult coloring book. You don't have to be big to do great things. Tiny Dick proves that in this hilarious and fun coloring book. Tiny Dick isn't huge, but he makes up for it with his giant personality and fun adventures. This book is great for bachelorette parties, boring Friday nights home alone, or to send to a very tiny ex-boyfriend. I want the Adventures of Tiny Dick, the adult coloring book. Oh, it's only $6.
Uh-oh.
I gotta wait till after Christmas. Gotta wait till after Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But there's oh my god, the Banging Animals adult coloring book. Cocks Make Me Happy, the snarky adult coloring book.
I just put you down a rabbit hole, didn't I?
I've seen stuff like this every once in a while, but like to be like, hey, I saw this and I thought of you, and then for me to go like look it up on Amazon and fall down the rabbit hole, like yes, I have stumbled into something. I like on a somewhat similar but not quite note. The Oatmeal made they've got like their Exploding Kittens game.
Yeah.
They made like a spin-off. I think it's a spin-off that's like the Bad Therapist game.
Oh no.
Horrible Therapists. That's what it's called. I put it on my Amazon wish list. If I don't get it, I'm buying it after Christmas. But I found it and put it on my wish list like right before Christmas. So,
you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So, well, that has been rather interesting. Would you like to talk about something that is satisfactory?
Well, it depends on how efficient we are about it.
Well, I'm not the most efficient, so.
Oh, I'm definitely not. I'm the worst at efficiency.
No, my kid's the worst. But
oh no, I've been going back and having to fix past mistakes and design flaws constantly.
That's the fun of the game, though. Yeah. So for our November Game Club, which we're getting too late, whoops, we played Satisfactory. Now, Game Club is where we intentionally play the same game at the same time over an extended period of time, typically a month, but sometimes longer, and then we talk about it on the show together and give you, the listener, the opportunity to play it alongside us. Send in things if you want, but otherwise just like have some experience with it. Mm-hmm. And for November, we played Satisfactory. Satisfactory is a game that both of us have played before, and I think we've both talked about on the show before, beyond just like the context of the last few weeks, where we were just like giving little snippets of our progress with this playthrough. But when it came out in like 1.0, its full release, we were like, okay, now's the time. This is a good time for us to do it in this calendar year anyways. It's something that's like slides into this like shorter slot that we both got experience with. Let's do it. I don't know where to start. Like, Satisfactory is a game that if you like this kind of game, you will love. And if you don't like this kind of thing, it probably sounds awful.
Well, it's also kind of the gateway drug for me for the factory building genre that's kind of sprung up.
Yeah.
where it's accessible enough that you can kind of brute force things, and there's not this kind of pressure to get things done extremely quickly like Factorio has with the pollution system and the aliens attacking and that sort of thing. Where where it's blending a lot more tower defense into the system.
Yeah, and
I'm not saying Factorio is tower defense. I'm saying that it has some elements of it, though.
Right. Well, and I think for me, like, the way to describe it is to talk about those two, Factorio and Satisfactory, in the differences in how they accomplish their goals. Factorio, beyond, I mean, they're the enemies that get stronger as you pollute the world. But beyond that, like, you can turn that off if you want to. I mean, you can set it to peaceful mode. They're still enemies, but they stop attacking you. But the biggest difference is Factorio has resources that deplete, and Satisfactory does not. Because there are enemies in Satisfactory. They're the native
the
fauna,
spitters, the hogs,
the spiders, and then
you mean
the poison,
the cats?
Right? The cats, and then like the poisonous plant thingies, and the toxic. Oh, and there's the little bugs. I just call them flies, but the little bugs that attack you and explode. I guess they die on contact. They don't really explode per se. They just kind of pop, but it doesn't blow you up. Anyways, the biggest difference is that Satisfactory has infinite resources, and it's more about placement and maximizing your efficiency of your resource gathering via the various means, upgrades, and the overclocking capability that you unlock in the game. Whereas Factorio is all about that constant sort of crawl outwards, because there's only so much throughput you can get on a resource patch, but when and it's constantly shrieking because the resource patch gets used up. So those two differences, there is an urgency to Factorio because of that, even with the enemies turned off, because it's like, I can never build anything permanent. No matter how good I get, no matter how efficient I get, I must always be going and expanding my outreach. And in Satisfactory, you only have to do that whenever you need to go up a next tier of complexity, or if you want to increase your speed and or efficiency. And that allows Satisfactory to be a lot more relaxed. And I think, they do two different things for me. I think I prefer Factorio over Satisfactory, but it's only just. And the reason, and I haven't played with the new Space DLC or Space expansion for Factorio. I don't have it yet. So I'm not sure how that changes things. But Factorio is a 2D plane, or a pseudo 2.5D plane. Whereas Factorio is 2.5D and Satisfactory is a 3D space, an entirely three-dimensional space. And my brain, after a certain point, struggles with that third dimension, with that verticality. I have a really hard time planning tall, which Satisfactory both encourages you to do and I think rewards.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've been building is basically one floor feeding the next.
Yeah.
Or, since we both run mods, one floor, then a logistics floor that feeds the one either below or above it, or both. With one set of pipe work and spaghetti on the floor and one on the ceiling. And the products from one floor feeding into another one. Like my home base / ironworks is in the Mark III variant, where I've pretty much completely stripped it down and rebuilt it 3 times now. And each time, basically, getting higher and higher throughput. And I'm almost to the point where it's back to full saturation.
Yeah.
Where basically like the ground floor is my item depot where all the basic ironworks, the bolts, the screws, the rods and everything goes to storage there. And that's fed from the second floor and the fourth floor. But it's all like a giant loop around where things are taken down into storage and then pulled out of storage to get built elsewhere or used up elsewhere. And then there's the overflow that dumps everything into the sink for awesome tickets. Because of course I do that, right?
Yeah. Oh, I do that too. That's something that is a relatively new edition. It wasn't a 1.0 edition, but it was in like the last beta or maybe the
awesome
one before.
sink?
The awesome sinks. Yeah, they're relatively new, aren't they?
No, they aren't.
Oh, when did they
They were in at least 3 or 4 updates before.
Okay.
Because I remember playing around with them.
Okay, here's my play history with Satisfactory. It released into early access in, I believe, 2018, and it was on Epic only. They had an Epic timed exclusivity, whatever, back when that was like a bigger thing that games were doing and was, causing a lot of hubbub, but honestly, it made sense because Epic was giving tons of cash to people at the time to do exclusivity deals with them. And I played it then, and then took a break for a couple of years, and then came back and played it in 2020, maybe 2021, and the awesome sinks were not in it. And then I took a break, and I came back and I played it again earlier this year, late spring, early summer, something like that. And then I took a break, and then I played it again after the 1.0 release, specifically for Gameclub.
Well, I can tell you exactly when I picked up Satisfactory. It was March 24th, 2022. The reason being is that it was in the Stand with Ukraine bundle on Humble Bundle.
Yeah.
And I played it fairly soon after that.
Okay. And they were in there when you started playing?
They were in there.
Okay.
I can't tell you exactly what update version that is, but...
Yeah. So my brain is going in 3 different directions on this. So, I mean, we've got the basics up there about what Satisfactory is. I know several people in the audience play it.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest things from the 1.0 release was the adding of the background story components. There was a smidgen that was there already, but like...
Yeah, I have not gotten far enough to really understand the story that's going on.
How far are you in your current run?
I have the first phase of the space elevator done, and unlocking the research for the second phase.
Okay, so I'm a phase ahead of you. I've completed the first 2 phases.
Okay.
Or no, have I done the first 3 phases? Because you get... Phase 0 is before you build the space elevator.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first phase gets you tractors. And the second phase gets you trains and trucks and oil. And I've done the third phase, which gives me aluminum. So I'm ahead of you. Yeah, two ahead of you.
Yeah.
So
but on the pre-release, I was one further. I had the phase 2 of the space elevator done, working towards what then was phase 3, but I'm not sure where that sits now.
Yeah.
So it's also kind of catching back up.
Yeah. So I have been playing this run with my kid a lot, which has helped. My kid is definitely not the most efficient, but he enjoys the game, and he likes to be given a task and then left alone to do the task. So my flow has been, okay, here's what we're going to do, buddy. We're going to establish a baseline for what we need, and then whenever we upgrade the space elevator, I'll go back and rebuild all the old stuff, the most efficient way possible, and you can start cobbling together the next bit. You can start bootstrapping us for the next bit. And that has helped speed up progress on some things. Because, like, I'll be like, okay, like, you just, you focus on these things in the MAM, you focus on these things in research in the HAB, while I'm, doing this other stuff over here. And that has worked really well to help speed my progress up. I mean, his stuff is extremely inefficient and dog ugly, but it works. And I don't complain. I try really hard not to complain because he's learning stuff and he's enjoying it, and I'm enjoying playing the game with him. So I try really hard not to complain. I've got a few things where I'm like, please, especially like when we unlocked trains, I was like, okay, please. It doesn't have to be perfect, but let's not have crazy, curvy, windy rails all over the ground clipping through everything. Here's how you build a simple raised track. Please do that anywhere you take the railroad. And he has stuck fairly well to that.
Yeah, see, I haven't gotten a chance to play with trains at all. In my previous playthrough, long distance was done via trucks, which does get some pretty significant throughput. This was the version I was playing actually fixed the wheeled vehicles. Mostly by, if you're far enough away from them, they'll just kind of clip through any obstacles and, just kind of do their thing.
Yeah. Truthfully,
but it works.
Yeah, truthfully, until where we're at right now, we haven't needed trains. But my kid loves trains, so we basically just skipped trucking altogether and went straight to trains.
Yeah, well, I have 2 major power plants. One of which is getting upgraded to essentially a dual line because it's like I found this coal patch that could run pretty much all the power plants I would be able to want there. So I'm not quite to where I could upgrade the pipe work to be able to run 8 per line. But what I'm going to do is I have it split, so 4 per water line.
Yeah.
And have 2 separate manifolds, 2 separate sets of water piping, all kind of blended together into one infrastructure. And the way I build my power grid is I have like the backbone with the large power towers, the large utility towers.
Yeah.
And anything that gets connected to it that does not generate power goes through a switch. And I'm not quite where I'm at the priority switches. I just need to get like one more heavy industry to be able to get the computers to get the get the priority switches. But the theory of it is that all the power stations can be isolated and then restarted individually, and they all have enough biomass generators as a kickstart.
Yeah. So one of the most, I think the biggest, most game-changing mod that I'm using is a power mod. I don't remember the name of it, but it adds some additional...
refund power.
Yes, and it adds some different power options. It adds a different way to utilize coal power, which is...
the modular power plant. I've toyed around with it before, but never got it fully working.
Yeah. A single module in a modular power plant provides the power of 2 coal power plants, and it's about the same resources, but the footprint's smaller. And so it's a more efficient use of space that way. I didn't like it, though. I basically skipped coal power because the thing about it that I liked was the hydroelectric power. It feels really balanced. It's quote-unquote free or renewable energy in the game. But its resource costs are more expensive So it's a higher upfront cost than building a coal power plant to use a hydroelectric dam or the small hydroelectric generators.
Yeah, the little turbine. I haven't gotten to the dam yet. I'm not sure if it was in the previous version I toyed around with. I know the turbines could only be placed essentially on nodes.
Yeah, and it's the same for the dams. There are dam nodes, and the dam nodes generate 50 megawatts per dam section that you build. And the largest one I've seen has been 3 sections, so 150 megawatts, and it costs, God, I don't know, 5 or 6 times more to build that than it would take to build a setup for 2 coal power plants, which is 150 megawatts.
But the thing is, it's pretty much set it and forget it.
It's set it and forget it. Yeah, exactly.
I know. Also, like wind power is the same thing, only it fluctuates.
Wind power fluctuates, and then if you don't build it high up, then it has a huge hit. Wind power honestly kind of sucks. In the early game, it's way more expensive than biogenerators. And then in the mid game, it produces so little power. The only thing that I could see it for is if you wanted to build an outpost that was completely disconnected from your power grid. I could see it working there. But, because one of the benefits of us using rail networks, because my kid loves trains, is that your rail networks carry power. So you don't need to build extra power lines out to all of your outposts. So I haven't felt a need to use them. And then solar panels, I haven't used solar panels at all. They require their own separate kind of production chain to set up.
Yeah.
A couple of things that the mod adds for you to refine different things into. And I just haven't used them.
Yeah, my previous playthrough, I basically used them to supplement during the day to help recharge power, to balance out some things.
Yeah.
And just basically had... my big thing for solar panels was I always use solar panels for the roofs of buildings.
Yeah.
That's kind of a freebie.
Yeah. I've thought about doing that.
It used... I'm not sure if it still does quartz. But it tied into another mod I was running called Deep Mining, where it would just spit out random resources every so often. So I would take the trickle of quartz I'd get from that and run every so often reload a very short production line to spit out some solar panels to just line the roofs of buildings that I consider done enough, right?
Yeah. I've thought about doing that at this point, but my factory's power setup, it consumes regularly 2 gigawatts worth of power. Bursts of up to 3 gigawatts. I can produce 2.5 gigawatts, but I've got a battery farm set up to handle the overflow. So, and I've got just my whole everything is one grid, one power grid. Because I'm playing with my kid, rather than trying to set up a little bit more complex, separated power grids and priority switches. I could do that, but because I never know what he's going to do or where he's going to tie stuff in, I decided to just overbuild my power grid. And every so often, once I'm drawing from the battery bank constantly, I go upgrade the power grid. And I'm producing most of that power burning oil at the oil power plants.
Yeah, the oil power is basically... for me, it's just a happy little side product. At least for now,
Yeah. But our factory setup is I've got 2 primary factories. The first being the Space Elevator Complex, which is a 3-story factory that got us all the way through to where we're at now, tier 3 or whatever of the space elevator. And then I went and built what I have dubbed Mega Factory 1, which is currently a 3-story Mega Factory complex that has 3 rail stations on the bottom floor.
Mm-hmm.
And the trains run to outposts, pick up resources, mostly raw resources. I smelt iron on site, and then I smelt I smelt everything on site actually, and I bring all of the ingots back, and then they run up to the first floor for basic materials, or the second floor for basic materials, and then the third floor for the first stage of complex materials. And it's huge. It's like a 40 by 40 grid using the foundation blocks, but then I built it up in the sky so that it would be flat, and the trains like run up and down to it and from it. And it's like a 40 by 40 complex, and then it's got like a little offshoot with its own separate MAM and engineering, or no, what's the engine? Workbench and whatever the other thing is. Like, it's got one of everything up there at it. And I've got hyper tubes that connect it to the space elevator complex. And then, yeah, we've got 7 or 8 outposts that do various things and bring them there. And I'm still, like, working on getting my aluminum setup working properly. I don't have that set up correctly yet. But that's our setup right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of... I was in the middle of doing the finishing touches on the Mark III of Ironworks, just to try to make sure I have plenty of resources for later on. Mostly screws. I built a small cable factory, literally just dumping into the Dimensional Depot, which we haven't really even talked about.
Oh, yeah, no, we haven't mentioned that at all.
Just so that, I always have cable coming in. Because, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that they changed in the 1.0 update, along with the storage stuff, is making essentially a global storage option through using Mercer spheres that are scattered across the map to create digital depots where you could basically upload items and then download them at will. Downloading is instantaneous.
Uploading
takes time. And each of the uploaders takes 1 Mercer sphere, I believe. And there's only so many on the map.
Yeah. It's interesting. I really like the concept. It doesn't feel like it breaks the game, because even like I don't even have it max level, but even at max level, it would be so inefficient. There's no way to use this as a main method to transport things around your factory complex or around the map. Mm-hmm. It truly is a player convenience, so that you're not having to constantly trek back to a facility. If you've got, I've got a few dedicated ones for the most commonly used materials, and it's like 100% sort of efficiency return. So you can break down, if you do need to break down one of the uploaders, you do get the Mercer sphere back, so it's not wasted. But like my most common materials, like concrete and cables and iron ingots and things like that I could craft into multiple things on the back of a truck. I've got those constantly being fed into them, so that it's constantly topped off. But otherwise, yeah, it's a very convenient way to move things from your factory into your inventory without having to go back to your base if you're doing exploration or if you're building an outpost complex somewhere.
I make sure to always keep solid biofuel for trucks and topped off in it.
Yeah. Also, and I don't know if you've gotten this in the MAM or if you've seen it, but you can upload things directly from your inventory once you research the upgrade.
Yeah.
And that's handy while you're exploring, because when you find things like power slugs, if you don't want them to take up your inventory and make a trip back, all you got to do is just drop them in the slot, and they will upload at the exact same rate, and they can upload at the same time. Mm-hmm. All of these can upload at the same time. So, I've got 3 container uploaders, plus from my inventory. And all 4 things can upload at the same time and they don't interfere with each other. But, like, still, like, truly, like, I can upload 1 thing per second. So 60 items a minute can go into this. Versus, like, you know, the throughput of that's the throughput of the tier 1 belt, which is 60 items per minute. And that's unsustainable for anything past early game or the tiniest of outposts with the most, you know, the scantest of resources. Like,
yeah,
it's
but for things that you constantly need, like cables is the first thing that I set up a dedicated factory for.
Yeah.
Where you're always going to need cables some. You don't need usually massive amounts, but enough that a factory that's constantly replenishing will greatly help out.
Yeah, and also there's limits to how much you can upload at a time. It starts with 1 stack of items, so for cables that's 200. For concrete it's 500. For most things it's 100, but, you know, there's some size variations. But, you know, there's a limit to how much you can have in the dimensional storage. And you can upgrade it. But even at its maximum, I think it's only...
I keep calling it digital, but it's dimensional.
Yeah. I think its maximum is 5 stacks of items, and you can upload at a maximal rate of the tier 2 belts, or maybe it's the tier 3 belts. But anyways, you know, that much per minute. Because, like, it doubles a couple of times. But... It's a really good system. There's some other stuff too that I have unlocked, but I haven't tried. So there's the Mercer Spheres, and these things are... Okay, let's talk about the story stuff, because these are also connected to the story. There's the Mercer Spheres and the Summer Sloops, which existed before, but they were just like, you pick up the item, there was like this little voice that you could hear, like whispering to you, and when you picked them up, the item description was like, you know, like placeholder item or something, doesn't do anything, is for the story and 1.0 release or whatever. I genuinely don't know 100% what's going on because I haven't, like, quote unquote beat it yet. But once you start picking these up, like, you hear the whispering voices, and the AI, what's her name? Ada, like, at first she's like, oh, like, your brainwaves are like, it seems like you're processing speech, like, and there's some, like, you know, some snarky messages about you, like, needing to take, like, a micro rest, and, like, a deep breath and some other stuff to clear the stress. But then eventually, like, you pick up enough of them and you get these messages that are, like, really, like, cryptic. They're very cryptic messages that talk about, like, drinking the blood and, you know, singing songs and whatnot. And eventually, like, Ada figures out how to hear what you hear and then speak back to the voice. And I'm at the point
that's where I'm at.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if there's separate stuff for the Mercer Spheres and the Summer Sloops, or if there's kind of like a global progress bar, and as you pick enough of them up, like, it moves on to the next stage of the story that it dishes out.
I love how snarky Ada has gotten since the start of since early access, because she was in the early game or in the early access.
She was,
but not, you know, funny, you know.
It was straightforward information, and there might be a little reference here or there, but now she's really snarky.
GLaDOS level snark.
Yeah, it's good though. I like it. I don't. Then there's the project. Or no, sorry. Fix It Save the Day. Fix
for
It
all the puppies and kittens of the world.
Yes, it's the Save Today program. As you upgrade the space elevator or complete the progress in the space elevator, you can look up in the sky now and you can see there's something that's being built at the top of the space elevator that's part of this Save the Day program, but you don't really know what it is. Like it's some kind of ship. I've kind of like figured that out. It's some kind of like spaceship or colony ship or something, but I don't really know what it is or what's going on beyond that. And like, I'm sure I could look it up, but I don't want to.
Yeah,
I want to like discover it organically. There's a lot of like anti-corporate stuff in this game. A lot of Ada's snark has to like, you know, kind of like taking like corporate bullshit to the nth degree in terms of like, you need to take a break so that you can rest. Please close your eyes and take a deep breath. we hope you enjoyed your break. Now you can resume working at full capacity or whatever.
Mhm.
It's like it's stuff like that. And so there's a lot of like corporate messaging in the bathroom. Oh, the toilet flushes now, and you can put items in the toilet and flush them, and it is like a really inefficient way to trash items from your inventory. I think that's cute. Like, it also like is one storage slot that you can put something in, but yeah, if you flush the toilet, it's gone. But there's a poster in there, and the poster with like all of the like writing of like they lied and they're bastards or whatever, like has been there for a while. But it's like we don't know anything about that or where it comes from or what's going on. My biggest theory of what's going on is that this planet is a I can't remember if it's called a Boltzmann or a Boltzmann brain. Which is like a planet that has achieved consciousness, like a collective consciousness, via sort of this like hive mind thing that happens with it. Like, it builds intelligence. And so I think these summer sloops and Mercer spheres are like something to do with that. And they like allow us to touch and connect with the consciousness of the planet. And I don't know like exactly where that's going, but that's my guess. Is like it's a living planet, and we are like harvesting its resources and hurting it. And the Save the Day program is some corporate bullshit where we're building a colony ship to send the rich elites away from Earth. And we're going to get to the end, and that's going to be, oh, you hurt the planet and you sent the corporate ship away, but like you accomplished your goals, right? I don't know. I feel like that's where it's going, but like I said, I really don't want to cheat and look ahead.
Yeah, because that's taking away all the fun.
Yeah. It's good too. The story does not in any sense overpower the rest of the gameplay. It's there as like a little incentive. Like, if you're someone like me who kind of gets to a certain point where they're banging their head against the wall and you kind of want to like quit or take a break, but then suddenly your break becomes 2 years because you stop playing. It's good incentive to be like, oh, well, I mean, like, you know, I'm in like phase 3 or phase 4 of this, like just a little farther, you know, some more resources, get the next stage, get another piece of like the story. I think it's good motivation, but yeah, it doesn't seem to overpower the situation at all. And it doesn't in any way negatively impact the game if you're not like doing a certain thing in the story. It's just world building and context, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same for me. There's enough to breadcrumb a story, but also the problem is, at least story-wise for me, is that I'll just get lost on my own little projects. It's like, oh yeah, I need to be collecting those Mercer spheres. Maybe I should get back on that. Yeah. Later.
Yeah. But yeah. Oh, I mean, overall. Well, no. Before I start wrapping up, anything else that you want to talk about that we've like kind of skimmed over or skipped by accident so far?
Just how impressive the modding community is for this game.
Yeah, I haven't I've looked at a ton of mods, but I'm running an extremely light mod load. The power. Hang on. Well, let me just pull up the Satisfactory mod manager.
Let's see. I'm running a few major mods. Then everything else is kind of small. Infinite Zoop, where you have pretty much as it unlocks a research line that to use it, but allows you to build multiple items all at once. Really helpful for building those mega factories. Yeah. Infinite Nudge, where you could lock in a hologram that you're building and then nudge it as much as you want, but also along all 3 axes. The only really major ones I'm running is Refined Power, I guess Circuitry and Logic Gates, even though I haven't really done anything with it yet. And the Farming mod would be the big ones. which I haven't really done anything with the farming mod. It allows for more like bio stuff.
Yeah.
And also allows for handling of the lizard doggos.
Yeah. We've got one lizard doggo that we, tamed and then put in a pen so that it won't escape.
Mm-hmm.
My kid checks on him every time we play. I don't really care so much about the lizard doggo. Like, they're cute. They are cute, but I don't care all that much for them.
Well, they also generate random resources.
They do. The only 3 mods that I'm using, I used a couple others for a while, but then I got rid of them. The only 3 that I'm using are Refined Power, Fluid Sinks and More, and Faster Manual Crafting Redux.
Oh, yeah, I guess that would be a major one, huh?
Yeah, the
I also run
handcrafting...
modular load balancer is kind of a major one. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, manual crafting is very slow in Satisfactory. It was always kind of slow for anything beyond the basic resources, but whether or not it's true, I feel like they slowed it down to try and encourage, way more factory usage. But, like, there are just times where I need to crank out, 500 or something, and I don't want to sit there for 10 minutes. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but, I'd rather get it over with sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes I fire up the game just to basically let it replenish all my resources, or let it saturate things and see where I need to build more.
Yeah.
Like, I'm only running Mark IV belts, so that's 600 some items a second.
Yeah. I'm running Mark III and Mark IV just about everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I try not to, overkill it. I try not to overmatch.
Certain conveyor belts are a lot easier to build than others. Like, the Mark IIs are practically worthless unless you build a factory designed just to build the bolted plates for it.
Well, so...
you did that, didn't you?
I actually have a factory. So I converted my space elevator complex into a factory that builds everything, like everything that I've got so far, and shoves it into a container. So I can go grab any resource that I need, and it doesn't actually go anywhere anymore. Because I'm beyond the point where I need that stuff, aside from the space elevator resources themselves, a couple of the lower ones that are used in crafting the higher ones. I don't need those resources at the space elevator anymore. I have moved the entirety of that production to Mega Factory 1. And so, but I didn't completely tear down the space elevator complex. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to turn this into a huge storage location. And all of the containers have got labels on them because you can get signs. And so I can get anything that I need. I can walk up and get whatever the maximum amount that fits in a double storage container is. If I wanted to. And that has come in handy. Especially for building huge outposts and shit.
The next variant of, or the next addition to the Ironworks, now that Snap-on allows putting splitters directly onto buildings again.
Yeah.
I'm going to reroute the syncing through a downloader, an uploader, so that it will always try to upload before it tries to sync something.
Yeah.
Although that does come up with the problem that the uploader will get stuck on a particular item. I think the uploaders really need their own dedicated lines.
They do. 100%. It doesn't work well if you try to manually queue up a bunch of stuff into an uploader.
Unless you know, right?
And yeah. Unless you're very, very careful and studious with it. Actually,
Yeah,
something
I have a set of 3 uploaders set up at my home base near the depot that I'll top off everything before heading out.
Yeah. One thing that we didn't talk about, we mentioned it, but then we didn't really talk about it, were the Fix-It coupons. There are these things called resource sinks, which we mentioned.
which they kind of make fun of microtransactions.
Yeah. So you feed extra resources into the resource sink, and you gain points, and the points build up to give you coupons. And it's a increasing system. I'm not sure if it's, like, I don't think it's exponential, but, like, every ticket costs more than the last one, and the amount that they cost more increases on some kind of percentage amount. So, you know, the first one is like 1,000 points, and then it's like...
And it's both the resources and also DNA capsules used that you obtain by killing the local wildlife.
Of course, yes. But so you get these coupons, and then you can turn the coupons in for stuff. And some of these things are functional. Some of them are purely cosmetic. And then you can also trade them for straight up raw resources, which is not always a waste of a coupon, but probably more of a waste of a coupon. But, I mean, you can get infinite coupons as far as I can tell. And so there's some stuff in there that's like, you know, some very like late game, like cosmetic, like statues and decorations that are like, I think the most expensive one is like either 1,000 or 1,500 tickets. Most of the stuff is like, you know, 5 tickets or less for any of the things that are like the different types of catwalks or the different foundations, the different like skins or paints that you can get. Or the not really paints, but like you can get like a chrome effect or a rust effect or those things. They're, you know, most of them are 5 tickets or less. Excuse me. So, I mean, I like the system, and the resource sink solves a problem. If you get like blockages or backups, if everything just eventually terminates in a resource sink, then as long as the resources are moving through fast enough that the blockage doesn't stay forever, then, you know, they're a perfect way to you know, chew up excess resources and increase the efficiency of your certain aspects of your factory. And I've got, I don't know, 5 or 6 resource sinks at various places around the map to, you know, sink excess production that can stop or slow something down.
So I gotta ask, since we're talking about the tickets, have you ever sunk a ticket?
No. What happens if you sink a ticket?
Oh, you don't know about that one.
No, I've never thought about it.
Shall I ruin it?
Yeah, please.
Okay, it unlocks a hidden vehicle.
Oh, is that the Tesla that I've seen?
Yes.
I've seen screenshots of it. I thought it was like a mod or something.
No, it's stock.
So if you sink a ticket, you get a Tesla. That's dumb.
No. Ada comes on and talks about since you're essentially such a smartass to sink a ticket. She designed this awesome wagon for you to drive around in, and the cyber wagon is making fun of the Cybertruck. Yeah,
I've seen this posted on probably the subreddit before.
Let's see. The cyber wagon's unique square wheels limit movement on the ground. Its firmware only lets it turn right. The driver's seat is placed several meters below the vehicle, causing the Pioneer to clip through the ground. It's stated in the description it's absolutely indestructible. It lacks a health bar, making it immune to enemy attacks, and also protects the Pioneer riding in the vehicle from radiation and fall damage due to falling slowly.
Yeah. The Cyberwagon's one-slot inventory can be accessed by interacting with the trunk, where it can also be fueled. Okay. Sure. I mean, that's funny.
I thought it was funny.
I do think that's funny. Yeah.
It is also the cheapest vehicle to build in the game. Not counting the coupons, because it costs 20 of them.
Right, and depending on where you're at in the game, 20 coupons could be a shitload, but of other resources. But that's one of those things that honestly effectively doesn't matter. But yeah, that's nifty. It's dumb, but it's an Easter egg kind of jokey thing, so it's allowed to be dumb. It's fine. But yeah.
Yeah, overall, I mean, the vehicles, the Pioneer ones, I should say, have their own, like, unique charm to them. I like using the tractor. The truck always felt like it was a little too much for me to use for exploration. I never really got the Explorer, though.
The Explorer's good. I use the Explorer a lot. I think the Explorer is impractical for anything except what its name is.
Although that might be a little different now with the Dimensional Depot.
Yeah, I mean the Explorer is perfect for exploring, and in doing so, like with the Dimensional Depot, you can go out, pick a place where you want to build a site, and then just start building, as opposed to like marking it on your map. Coming back with a truck full of resources, that kind of thing. Like, the Explorer is very... I mean, I've been using the Explorer in combination with the little scanner tool to go find power slugs, Mercer spheres, and summer sloops. And I'll just go to an area, and then I'll do, a circle around, a radius around the Explorer, and then move on to the next area.
Yeah, that is one mod that's been very useful. Is trying to find it on here. It basically puts a beacon on anything that you're currently scanning for to give a better idea of where the fuck it is.
Yeah, but yeah, so Satisfactory. I find
doesn't hold up to the name because it's much better than just being satisfactory.
I find it most satisfactory. Yeah, no, Satisfactory is definitely an A or an A+ for me.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of bums me out is once I learned that animals really can't hurt you if you're in a car now, or you're immune to radiation and poison. It did take a little bit of the fun of exploration out. The kind of that danger.
Yeah. The only danger that exists from exploring is certain parts of the map that have like the infinite void below them, and if you fall off, you can die and lose your vehicle. Although at certain points in the playthrough, that's devastating, and at others, it's like barely an inconvenience. Mobility tools. You can get a jet. Excuse me.
A jetpack or a parachute.
Or the parachute.
I do like that they changed it where it's individual slots on the body instead of just the tools.
Yep.
Because when I originally was playing, everything was basically like just hand tools. And also the parachute was consumable, so I never really used it in the past.
Yep, until I got the jetpack, I would keep a few parachutes on me just in case I accidentally fell off of somewhere too high. But yeah, now that the parachute is reusable, parachute is amazing because you can parachute faster than you can sprint, especially if you've got the exo suit legs, which make you run even faster. But what that means is that you can do kind of a Warframe style like sprint, slide, jump, and then parachute glide. And there are certain places, certain areas where you could parachute slide up even if you were touching the ground. And so I had areas of my factory where it was faster to parachute up than it was to run or even use like a bounce pad.
One of my main ways of transit is just going along the backbone of my power grid with the zip line.
With a zip line, yeah.
And see something interesting, just jump off and parachute down,
Yep. And the zip line for the large power lines is really handy. For the small power lines, it hits and you have to jump.
Yeah.
And reattach. But the large power lines, as long as your body
Or there's no like real sharp turns.
Yeah, or your body doesn't physically make too much contact with something that it knocks you off or makes you stop. The zipline is pretty good. It's relatively slow overall, but like it's you can
Well, you can hold. Yeah. Well, you can also hold sprint to get a little bit more speed out of it.
Yeah, it's kind of.
But it's also more for long distance slow travel.
And it's extremely energy resource efficient because you're using your existing power grid and like a tool that's very easy to make in order to do that. Like it's kind of the same principle of the vacuum tubes. Mm-hmm. It's like a fire and forget. With the vacuum tube you just jump in and then you go. And like there's ways that you can like cheat and make yourself go faster. But for my vacuum tube ride between Mega Factory and the Space Elevator Complex, it's more like, okay, I'm going to go do some stuff. Let me go pee. Let me go get a drink. Mm-hmm. And when I come back, I'll be sitting at the little transit station.
Well, I've also been using the zipline as an exploration tool because the build distance on those big power towers is really long.
Yeah.
So I'll build a power tower and then zipline to that, look around. So it's not just transport, but also some exploration.
Yeah.
Although it is, more of an incremental thing than just, driving around and looking. But it also allows for skipping some of the natural roadblocks of the game. Although, to be fair, most of the natural roadblocks you can just go around anyway. Outside of blocked off caves is like the one big one where you have to have the proper tools to be able to access those.
Yeah.
But there was, I came up with, to a pathway that had, destructible rocks. Or I could just build some foundations and build a bridge to go around this.
Yeah. Lots of times, there's stuff inside the destructible rocks. Usually power slugs, but occasionally you find other things in there. But, yeah. So, yeah. Kind of already gave my rating, A+. Love Satisfactory. Game of the Year contender, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, well, to be fair, it's not DLC of a game that was released last year, so we're going to have to really consider this.
Smooth. Yeah, although Baldur's Gate, I think it's going to come down to Baldur's Gate and Satisfactory this year for me. Mm-hmm. But, we'll deal with that when the time comes. So, our next Game Club game, which I think we already announced last time, but
I think so.
It is Terra Invicta. A game that I've started playing a little bit that wears a lot of hats. Mm-hmm. It's on Game Pass. You can also buy it on Steam or a couple other platforms. It's a big one. A complex, complicated one. So if you're intending to play it, whether or not you write into the show, if you're intending to play it so you can kind of get some experience for when we're talking about it.
Maria, are you out there? Are you listening?
I would advise you to start playing now. I've got, 20 hours into a playthrough, and I'm definitely behind the curve, and still am like, what the fuck is going on? And I haven't even got to one significant portion of the game yet. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to spoil it, so in the future. Next time.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But, yeah. So that's that. Moving on, then, to the one kind of sort of newsy bit we're going to cover for the show this week. Mm-hmm. The best games of 2024, picked by NPR staff.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting whenever we find lists like this that's outside of major game media. I don't want to say non-gamers because gamer is such a broad title. Anybody is a gamer. But whenever you start getting to more mainstream non-industry sites, things get a lot more interesting for me. where it's not the circle jerk of, oh, it's the latest Call of Duty game. You know?
Yeah. So, yeah, NPR's got...
I'm pretty sure the latest Call of Duty game isn't on this, now that I think about it.
I don't know. I haven't played it. I haven't looked at it. I don't care about it. The latest Call of Duty. But, excuse me. So, yeah, there's, in the article, in the discussion, in total, there's 80 games on the list, but you can break it down by categories. There's Show Me Everything.
Yeah, and what's fun is also it's randomly sorted.
Oh, interesting. But yeah, so Show Me Everything, action, adventure, competitive multiplayer, cooperative multiplayer, cozy, for new gamers, great for kids, horror/thriller, platformer, puzzle, RPG, shooter, simulation, strategy. And that's, fairly straightforward. They had a couple extra categories you don't see in a lot of places, but the thing that I like, that like really perked me up when you talked about it, is where can I play? And it's got your standard, Android, iOS, so mobile, Switch, PC, PlayStation, Xbox, VR, but one category, tabletop, like board games tabletop. And so that perked my ears a little bit, perked my interest. So I don't know. How do you want to?
I mean, since it's randomly sorted, I think we have to almost go by possibly the different genres.
Okay.
Because we can't really just go down the list because it's going to be completely different for both of us.
Right. So, I guess I wonder if there's any overlap though.
Probably.
Like, I feel like some shooter games would probably have some overlap. Yeah, going back and forth between the two of these. Splatoon 3, for example, shows up on action and shooter, which makes sense, but...
Yeah. So I guess we could just go down, trade off, and then see where we get overlaps, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these I'm not really that familiar with, which also I found very refreshing,
Yeah. All right. So on the action category, there are 30 games in it. I'd imagine this is the largest single category. Although who knows? Maybe not. So in order that they're sorted for me, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Rise of Ronin.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, if you want to stop me to talk about something, you can.
Well, I thought we were trading off, so I was about to jump in with one.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about trading off on the categories. No, we can trade off and reading different ones. We can do that. That's my bad. I misunderstood.
So my first one is Angerfoot.
Okay.
Which looks like it's a Angerfoot is a lightning fast action action FPS where the only thing harder than your ass kicking feet are the ass kicking beats. It's a music based first person shooter where you go around kicking things. And all the weapons are sneakers.
That's cute. So, yeah, that's cute. I mean, my first one, like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, like it's Final Fantasy VII remake, reboot, changey, whatever. Like, we know it. I don't know if we love it, but I'm not really gonna focus too much on it. Rise of Ronin, big PS5 RPG that released this year, or PlayStation exclusive RPG that released this year. Looks interesting. I've seen it. I've not played it because I don't have a PS5.
Yeah, so my next couple, just to bring me back up into line, Black Myth Wukong, which I've heard so many good things about, but I kind of tuned out because I didn't know it was on PC. Because all the marketing I saw for this was highlighting the fact that it was PlayStation,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was a later release, if it was a simultaneous, and it's just, Sony really wanted to hammer home the PlayStation, which does happen, or what, but... And then One game that I've wanted to play, but I haven't gotten to yet. Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2.
Yeah.
That game was absolutely crazy and really sold you on the feeling of being this badass Space Marine. My big gripe with it was that it just got repetitive after a while, but that's, you can say that for a lot of games.
Yeah.
But it was just a power fantasy game in a good way.
Yeah, I've wanted to play that. I'm sure eventually I'll get to it. Black Myth Wukong, I heard mostly good stuff about it, but then I heard some things about it being like sort of like that side of the internet, you know, like it had like a particular resonation with like,
oh boy,
like that right wing internet person.
See, I had not really heard anything about that part of it, so
I wasn't super interested in the game before, and that doesn't necessarily mean like they could have just glommed onto it for any number of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like trying to make any accusations about the game, but it's like I wasn't super interested in it, and I'm like, if this type of person like loves it, maybe I'll just stay away for a while. So I might come back around to it later when it's on deep discount in a couple of years, but you know. But yeah, so my next one, Splatoon 3 Side Order. You've played Splatoon 3. You've talked about it on the show.
Yeah, so Side Order is the bigger DLC that Splatoon 3 had, where it's essentially the roguelike or roguelite variant of Splatoon, where you're going up a tower that has various floors that are individual, essentially levels. Yeah. It is a very good single player experience. I will say that it does get, once again, repetitive. It feels like it was lacking a little bit more content than it should have on the individual floors. But it does have very good rewards for going through and trying out different weapons. So every time you complete a weapon, you get essentially a skin for that weapon in the real world. The Side Order is essentially like a digital world in Splatoon. But the reason why that's important is that that's counted as a separate weapon in the main game, which, as you level it up, gives you a additional license to buy other weapons, and it's more stuff to unlock,
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that I would love to see Splatoon's mechanics in a single player focused shooter. And while they do have a single player mode, Side Order is probably the closest, at least in Splatoon 3 that I've played, that comes to feeling like a more like feature complete game without it just being a mode,
Yeah.
So let's see, I have Ultimate Swing Golf, which is a VR golf game. And Ultros, which I'm not familiar with at all. A psychedelic Metroidvania where you wake up stranded on the sarcophagus. Oh, sorry, on the sarcophagus. A cosmic uterus holding an ancient demonic being. Wow, okay. Right?
Sure.
Basically, Metroidvania meets LSD.
Huh.
Right?
Sounds neat.
It's so colorful.
Yeah. My next couple, I had Ultimate Swing Golf, so we'll skip that one.
Mm-hmm.
Neva, or Neva.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Neva. I don't know anything about this game, so I'll read the blurb. It says, Neva follows a young heroine and her wolf companion across watercolor landscapes and Escher-esque puzzles as they persevere through grief and confront the demonic forces responsible for ravaging their world. It looks, the screenshot they have for it, looks very, very, very beautiful. I'm gonna look this up on Steam out of curiosity. Mm-hmm. It says it's on, basically all the platforms. It's an indie title, so.
Oh, now, okay, this one is an interesting one. UFO 50.
I'm familiar. I'm aware of this game. I've heard of this one.
See, I hadn't. Bob, it reminds me of a couple I played on the DS where it's, like a fake game history that is kind of telling the story of just video gaming.
Yes.
And just looking at the screenshots, I see very familiar. Like this is obviously legally distinct Metal Gear Solid, or not Metal Gear Solid, but Metal Gear.
Yeah, it's like advanced, or it's like historical revisionist advanced technology, or it's like because the sort of hook for it from I haven't played it, but I have heard this discussed on a gaming podcast I listen to, is that it's like there's this device that is found that contains all of these advanced games for the era in which they were made. And you as the player are like looking back on them retrospectively. And so it's like they have, it allows them to be a little bit more dynamic with the mechanics that they use. But there's apparently a lot of like secret stuff in it. It's got like, it's a multi-layered game. So you can take it at face value and play like the 50 different like games that exist within it, which from what I've heard are all fairly like accurate and good representations of the games that they're sort of being an homage to. But then there's an extra layer underneath. So it sounds neat, but I don't know if it's something that I would like deeply get invested in,
Yeah, I'm not sure about the $25 price tag, but but then again, there's 50 games, right?
Yeah.
And then Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree?
Yeah. Erdtree.
I mean, it's Elden Ring, right? I mean,
yeah.
People go absolutely crazy for it.
Yeah. I've got Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I didn't even know they made another Prince of Persia game.
Well, this is the 2D style.
Yeah. So kind of like going back to classic Prince of Persia. Yeah, I mean, it looks interesting, but I mean, it's Prince of Persia. I guess if you like Prince of Persia, maybe you'd like it. Hades 2 early access. I've heard extremely good things about Hades 2. I've never played the original. It's not my favorite type of game, but
let's see. Right there's Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Rise of Ronin. So I think the next one that we haven't talked about is Stellar Blade. And yet
is that
another
the Korean game?
I'm not sure. It looks like it's PlayStation only. It looks. Boy, this is gonna sound terrible. It looks very Asian. Just the art style, I should say.
Yeah, this is like an produced by I think a South Korean developer or group of South Korean developers. It's another game that received like a ton of praise from that like right wing sphere of people who just like liked that it was a game that had like a hot chick that you got to stare at her ass the whole time and like completely ignored all the rest of the things about the game, the nuance and the take on the storytelling and whatnot. Yeah. So I played it.
Yeah, there's a reason why I ignore them. And Tekken 8, I mean, it's Tekken, yet one more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. I have heard good things about it, though, again, on Podquisition, the Gymquisition podcast. It's got very good accessibility features.
Yeah, I've heard about... I think it was Tekken 8 talking about how James Stephanie Sterling, it was the kind of the fighting game that got them into fighting games. All right, your turn.
Yeah, Batman: Arkham Shadow, which is a VR Batman game, where you're doing Batman stuff, but in VR. Pretty cool if you like VR, I guess. Llama Soft, the Jeff Minter story. No idea what this is. It says part documentary, part interactive museum. Llama Soft, the Jeff Minter story, dives deep into the biography of one of Britain's most influential and stubbornly independent game designers. Includes playable versions of dozens of Minter's games, from Grid Runner to Lamatron to Psychedelia to Tempest 2000. So, cool.
Okay, I got mini shoot adventures. Swoop around as a tiny spacecraft, zap other ships, and uncover secrets. So it's it according to this, it emulates the top-down Zelda formula, but with a minigun and a jet engine instead of sword and shield, which I could get behind. Almost Metroidvania is not the proper term, but where I don't know, maybe technically it would be the dungeon formula, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
And then Nine Souls, a 2D action game from Taiwan, weaves Taoist philosophy with sci-fi fable about unscrupulous leaders seeking immortality at any costs.
Okay. Sure. Let's see. I got UFO 50 and Elden Ring, which we've talked about. Bow, Path of the Teal Lotus, or Bow. I'm not sure if it's got like an umlaut. Boo. It's a 2D platformer. They're comparing it to Hollow Knight and Ori, but it's got a much greater focus on aerial movement and combat. So, sure. I mean, the art style looks good. It looks cute. Sons of the Forest, which is just a sequel to The Forest. You've got like a persistent like AI companion. I think it's got multiplayer, whereas the first one didn't. It's got like horror elements to it, which has kind of steered me away from it, despite the fact that otherwise it looks like a game that I would like. But, I've also heard like high praise for this game this year. And then just like to skip past them because you already got them, Nine Souls and Anchorfoot. So, your turn.
Okay, well, skipping past Hades 2, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I've not played it. I'm interested in it. It's one of the... It's not the first Legend of Zelda game where you actually play Zelda, because the CDI games exist. But it's more focused on puzzle solving and duplicating items in the game world. And then straight on combat from everything I've seen, although that could be later on, it's more forward. But it's intriguing. It's an intriguing twist on the formula. And then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I have no idea what they're doing with Final Fantasy VII at this point, because what the ever living hell is going on, right?
Yep. I mean, I will say I've heard good things about the Final Fantasy VII like remake, whatever's, but yeah, I don't care.
I'm just going to wait till 2047 when all of them are finally done,
right?
So I can properly ignore them, or just be dead. One of the two.
Yeah. So let's see, another Crab's Treasure, which we did a whole game club about. So go back to that episode if you want to know more. Lego Horizon Adventures, which is the Horizon Zero Dawn, but they made a Lego version of it. I've seen some gameplay of it. It looks good. I mean, it's a Lego game. The Lego games have done overall a very good job of taking a complex or complicated thing and making it like simplified for kids and accessible and fun. So it seems like it does that, but I haven't played it, so I'm not sure. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. No idea what that is. The sprawling Grand Blue Fantasy franchise started with a hit Japanese mobile game a decade ago. This year, Relink, an entirely new RPG, came to PlayStation and PC, delivering dazzling animation, powerful writing, and more than 20 playable characters. So, sure. Actually, that description makes me think it's like Xenoblade-esque, but I don't know that for sure. So, Japanese anime RPG thingy. Yeah.
Okay, so I got Sons of the Forest, which looks like open world survival horror.
Yeah, I had Sons of the Forest
Oh, sorry.
a few ago.
Lego Horizon Adventures, Batman Arkham Shadow. Have you had Nerva?
No, I don't think so. No, I have not.
Okay, follows a young heroine and her wolf companion across watercolor landscapes, Escher-esque puzzles as they persevere through grief and confront demonic forces responsible for ravaging their world. Okay, well, that's a thing.
Astrobot did. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was just looking. I'm not familiar with this game at all. There's Bal, Llamasoft, Astrobot is my next one, which I've heard a bit of, but I haven't really dove into, so I don't know what to really talk about on Astrobot. I mean, it's a PlayStation exclusive, so once again, I kind of ignored it.
Yeah. So I've got Black Myth, which you got, Warhammer 40k, which you've got, Berserk Boy.
Looks Mega Man-esque.
Yeah. It says mashing together the high-speed platforming classics of the Sonic games and combining combat of classic Mega Man titles. Berserk Boy succeeds thanks to its eclectic inspiration and clever stage design. Most of the gameplay is as fun as old-school platformers get, demanding that the players use different powers to overcome puzzles and combat encounters. So, I mean, it looks neat. I do like the old Sonic games and Mega Man, so...
I never really played much of the old Mega Man. Need to solve that, or fix that someday. And of course, while we're recording this, there's a bunch of big announcements at the Game Awards that we could talk about next week, right?
That's right. Let's see, Tekken 8, which you already got. Did you read off Vendetta Forever?
No.
I've never seen this before. Vendetta Forever pays homage to VR staples like Super Hot and Pistol Whip, but it treads new ground by having you advance through each level by teleport snatching your enemy's weapons. So I guess if that's the case, it's a thing where you hop around in VR and kill enemies in a level as fast and efficiently as possible.
Okay, let's see. Penny's Big Breakaway. I have no idea what the fuck to make of this description. Combines Ready, Set, Yo, join Penny and Yo-Yo in a kinetic 3D platformer bursting with innovative gameplay. According to the Steam reviews, at least. So it's a 3D platformer with more like physics-based puzzles and movements. I'm looking at the Steam trailer now. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the old mascot platformers of like the Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1 era.
Yeah.
But a lot of the movement is more like physics-based and based on momentum. So your primary thing is your yo-yo. So, you're like riding around on it or spinning it around. And it does remind me of the older style platformers, though, which is nice to see them making a comeback. Grand Prix Fantasy Reeling. Have you covered that one?
Have I? Let me scroll back up here a second. Oh, yes, I did.
Okay.
That's the one that I said seemed like a Xenoblade thing, but I wasn't sure.
Splatoon 3 Side Order, Berserk Boy, Vendetta Forever, Crow Country. Did you cover?
Crow Country's next on my list, because I have Stellar Blade, which you got, Legend of Zelda, which you got, Crow Country. Southern Gothic video game. Crow Country set in 1990s Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Refreshing. You play Special Agent Mara Forrest, tasked with looking for the elusive Edward Crow at the abandoned amusement park that he owned. And it's an action-adventure, horror, thriller, puzzle game. So, I don't know. This doesn't seem like I'd like it at all, but who knows? Mini Shoot Adventures, did you say that one?
Yes. I'm at the end of my list.
Okay, Penny's Big Breakaway. You did Ultros?
Yeah, that's the Metroidvania on LSD.
Okay, so then yeah, that's the end of my list.
Woo!
I guess the next...
Adventure. Thank goodness you're here. A comedy former, a comedy platformer. I mean, right?
Yeah. So, I already have some that we did last time.
Yeah.
The last one. Yeah, there's going to be overlap.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, Pacific Drive. I've seen stuff on Pacific Drive.
I've been wanting to pick that up at some point.
It's like an adventure horror game, where there's like supernatural elements breaking through into the real world, and you've got a car and you're doing like a road trip to try to like solve whatever the problem is and send the ghosties back. Definitely not up my alley. I don't like scary things. So the only way you could get me to play that is for October Game Club next year.
Well, there's the thought. It's supposed to be more like psychological horror than jump scare horror, though.
Yeah.
So, until then, a narrative adventure game out of the Philippines. It has a interesting, almost like Super Nintendo style art, very pixelated art style, but exaggerated. So
Yeah.
A fateful meeting sets off a chain reaction, upending Mark's life. People disappear and memories prove unreliable. Uncover a hidden truth with Mark and his friends in this narrative adventure and a race to unravel the mystery before it's too late. It's listed as a visual novel, which is intriguing, considering not very popular over in the West,
Yeah.
But it's not, what you would normally think of as a visual novel. It's a lot of interaction and movement, and actually a lot of looking at stuff on phones too. Intriguing.
So, little kitty, big city.
Mm-hmm.
You're a cat who has to get home in the city.
Yep.
And you get into
I've played it. It's intriguing. It's more about like solving small adventures than an overarching adventure, though. It's more like for solving a small quest to build up to a bigger one than like a platformer than you would originally think or possibly think.
Yeah. Lil, like Lil, Lil Guardsman. Basically, from this description, you're a kid whose dad is an alcoholic,
mm-hmm.
and you have to do his job as a city guardsman. And it's like a cutesy but somehow sadder version of Papers, Please. I am extremely interested in this. Let's see.
I got Snuffican, Melody, Murmuring and Valley. The fuck, right?
Oh, yeah.
A story-rich musical adventure game about restoring harmony and balance to Mimrican Valley, protecting it from an insidious park keeper. So, once again, well, not quite visual novel, but it's more talkie-talkie and less, well, I mean, it is the adventure category, so, right?
Yeah.
But the reason why I wanted to plow on is the Caves of Quid. It's one I actually have.
I'm familiar with it. I don't have it, I don't think, but...
it's a roguelite, or it's almost like life sim, where you're a traveler going around and doing adventure stuff. But it's all, very abstract because it's rogue style where everything is like, little individual icons. But it's incredibly in-depth. And it's also sci-fi based, which is unusual for the genre.
Yeah. So let's see. I got 3 in a row that we've already had. Batman Arkham
mm-hmm.
Shadow, UFO 50, and 9 Souls.
Mm-hmm.
So in the next one, Indica. which is just tagged as an adventure game. It says Indica is ostensibly an adventure game about an eponymous Russian Orthodox nun delivering a letter to her bishop in the early 20th century. But that's just window dressing for subversive game design.
Okay, so, well, I'm skipping you 50, Little Guardsman, Little Kitty Big City, the Mexican 1921 Deep Slumber. Mexico 1921, A Deep Slumber begins with a murder. You're an investigative reporter on the case. You take photographs and interview famous figures in post-revolution Mexico to uncover the conspiracy behind the assassination of the Mexican president. So it's a look into Mexican history through the lens of a video game, which I'm always for unique takes, you know?
Yeah, me too. That sounds interesting. That was actually my next one, Mexico 1921, A Deep Slumber. Mm-hmm. Then I have Caves of Cud, which you talked about, Lego Horizon, which was in the last one. The Plucky Squire. From Paper Mario to Sonic Generations, many games have juggled 2D and 3D perspectives. None has used the technique so effectively as the Plucky Squire. When our hero, Jot, gets kicked out of his own story by the evil wizard. Oh, I've heard about this. It's like a storybook game.
Yeah.
And you get, like, kicked out of your book by the bad guy, and, like, you're the hero, and you get kicked out by the bad guy so he can win. And you have to figure out how to get back into the book to complete your story so you can beat the bad guy.
But then you also have to jump out of the book and use the room around you to alter the book.
Yeah. It looks very cute.
Okay, so my next couple, Read-Only Memories Neurodiver. I know of Read-Only Memories, but not the sequel.
Yeah.
It has very mixed reviews on Steam, though, but once again, visual novel, right?
Yeah.
And then Life is Strange Double Exposure, the sequel to the original Life is Strange game, which it's interesting to see them going back to the original story, and aging up Max to 28 years old.
I've heard some extremely good things about this game. Because it's not, from what I've heard, it's not afraid, like, it doesn't pull its punches.
Yeah, which, that's one thing, at least the original Life is Strange did, was it could have went a lot darker than it did. Mm-hmm. And they kept, like, holding back. And I've never really played the other ones. I've been wanting to, but I hadn't.
Me too. Why don't we? It's not like we have a show where we dictate games that we play for a monthly segment.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, Life is Strange 2, the first one, the first chapter is free, and then it's, all paid from there.
Yeah.
What ones was on Game Pass?
I mean, there was Life is Strange. There was Two Brothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was the one that was totally free that we did. The kid who...
Yeah. Captain Spirit.
Captain Spirit, yes. And then isn't there another Life is Strange? There's the one that's specifically about...
True Colors.
True Colors.
True Colors is on Game Pass, I think. Or was on Game Pass. It looks like it's no longer there. And there's also Tell Me Why, which is also from Don't Nod, which is an intriguing one as well. It's not in the Life is Strange series, but it's a pair of twins where one is trans, I believe. And it's transitioned, and they have a bond because, in Supernatural, because it's Don't Nod, right?
Yeah.
I could be mistaken on that, though. That's the thing, is I'm trying to find more info on it, but it's also late.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nine Souls and Plucky Squire. I'm just continuing down my list real quick. Animal Well, a very, very deep Metroidvania that is one hell of a standout title for a indie dev's first foray. I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. It has an art style that makes it look like an old CRT monitor as well. It makes it look so much older than what it really is.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those games that screenshots do not do this game justice at all. You need to see it in motion. So, anyway, continuing on
I've got
for you.
Flock. Flock is it says serene co-op experience. Ride around on a giant bird, helping your Aunt Jane, a zoology professor, fill the pages of her book with exotic creatures. Then 1,000 times resist. It says cyberpunk game. The player relives memories from the Allmother, society's immortal and beloved overseer, who used to be a normal girl named Iris. Then Until Then, which you already talked about. Read-only memories, you already talked about. Did you do Thank Goodness You're Here?
Yes.
Okay. Snufkin, Melody of Moomin Valley? I don't think you said that one.
Yeah, I did.
You did? Okay.
That was the one I stumbled over.
Okay. Snufkin, Melody of Moomin Valley. Animal Well, which you just had. Life is Strange, Double Exposure, which you just had. Legend of Zelda was in the last list. Okay. I've only got one game left on my list. Did you say Princess Peach Showtime?
That's my next one up.
Okay.
And
you take it.
So, it's a Mario game where you get to play as Princess Peach. Trying to remember the hook on this one because I saw it, but I can't recall what the actual hook on it is.
So it's I've seen this. So it's like there's a play going on, and Princess Peach gets different powers based on the outfits or the costumes that she gets.
The costumes. Oh yeah,
yeah.
I didn't want to jump onto the wrong one because the previous one that had a playable Princess Peach in a platformer, it was all based on her emotions. Like she would cry and get mad, and it feels very wrong in retrospect, you know?
Yeah.
It's like it's somewhat well reviewed. I mean, it's not as good as the Mario Brothers, but
I mean, I heard good stuff about it, but again, it's like, I haven't played it.
It looks like a lot of people are complaining about it's a little too easy. And yeah, that's it for that that category. Competitive multiplayer only has 11.
11.
Wormspan, which is the first tabletop game, is the supernatural evolution of its avian predecessor, Wingspan.
Which I have played Wingspan. Yeah. Wingspan is very good.
Basically, you place dragons and dig through caverns to activate abilities.
Yep.
It's the dragon version of Wingspan.
Yep. Wingspan is great, so I'd imagine Wormspan is also good. That was my second one. UFO 15 was my first one, which you already had. Then Wormspan. Solium Infernum.
Yeah, that would be my next one, but go for it.
It's a PC game. With an intriguing evolution of board game principles applied to video game design, Solium Infernum takes the backstabbing social dynamics of tabletop games like diplomacy and puts them into a setting they truly suit: hell itself. Players spread across the map and battle for supremacy, manipulating the politics and economics of pandemonium towards one of the many different avenues of victory. So, sure. Sounds neat.
Has a very Sid Meier's feel to it.
Yeah.
So Destiny 2, The Final Shape. Turns out it's a rhombus. It's... it's Destiny 2, right? I mean, if you're not invested in Destiny 2, it's kind of pointless to look into it at this point, right?
Yeah.
You pretty much already have to be there. Or just be a fan of rhombuses.
Yeah.
It's the last of the Destiny 2. I don't know. It's the latest Destiny 2 DLC, but they also decided to kill off a bunch of their content to continue going on, so who knows?
Yeah. So that Elden Ring, which we already talked about. Arcs, Conflict, and Collapse in the Reach. This is another board game. From the team behind the beloved strategy game Root and Oath, which I've never played. Arc lets 2 to 4 players fight galactic battles by chucking dice and playing cards of different suits. Lavishly illustrated by Kyle Ferrum. Don't know who that is. Set in a universe inspired by both Star Wars and Dune.
Who's Kyle?
Right. So.
Well, speaking of Dune, I have Dune War for Arrakis, which is another board game.
Yeah.
I'm
interested in Arcs. I'm going to look this up on Amazon. Costing me money.
You're welcome. And I'm just going to plow through the other two.
Yep, keep going.
So EA Sports College Football. It's football, but college level. Where the players are not all millionaires. They're just struggling to try to get a passing GPA. Right?
Yep.
I remember back when there was a very popular or a good strong rivalry between the different football video game series. I miss that. It drove so much innovation, but now it's just EA having it all. And then Picky Eater's Ultimate Collection. You're having a dinner party, but some of your guests are cooperative. They can't eat something. Or they don't like something, and you have to make things work. And games are roughly lasting roughly half an hour. You'll go to the grocery store, make a recipe, and stir in special ingredients. Picky Eaters is fun food illustrations and just enough strategy to keep things interesting. Plus, it packs up well, and so it's easy to travel with. Just don't play it hungry.
Yeah,
that sounds like a fun one too, huh? But that's a tabletop game.
Looks like Arcs is not available on Amazon.
Alright, well, moving on to cooperative multiplayer. Warhammer 40k, UFO 50, Elden Ring, Rise of Ronin, Arkham Horror LCG.
Okay.
A Midsummer-esque card game, and its fresh day-night campaign structure. Each morning, your investigators get to know the residents of the idyllic Hemlock Vale before setting out to survey the area of the Isle, returning each evening for a spooky postlude. The new format breaks up the long reading sections in the last campaign with Scarlet Keys by giving players more chances to interact with NPCs, making story payoffs immediate and tangible. Put on your cult robes and plunge into the latest, greatest Lovecraftian conspiracy. Let's see.
That actually sounds neat.
Destiny 2, The Rhombus of Shapes. Sun in the Forest, Lego Horizon Adventures, EA Sports, Helldivers 2. Horror. There you go.
Oh, okay. The Plum Island Horror is the first one I have that we haven't covered.
Sorry.
It's a board game. It's a zombie board game. Face a horde while worrying about rations. Instead of saving nameless survivors, you can play as the Islanders Athletic Club, rushing to evacuate a country music star across town. Or maybe you're the neighborhood watch, bursting into a school to find not the supplies you need, but a zombified Sasquatch. Okay, sure. This also catches... Damn, all these board games look good.
Well, that's kind of the point, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. Gotta buy them and add them to the collection.
Okay, so I have Helldivers 2. This is one that kind of caught me off guard because, I never paid attention to Helldivers. And then I kept hearing so many great things about it, but I don't have the time to focus on it,
Yeah.
It looks amazing for where it is, though. Then Flock, which I think we've had.
Yep, we had that.
Green Blue, which we've had. Final Fantasy 14 Down Trail? Or Dawn Trail?
No.
It's Final Fantasy 14 latest expansion, right?
Yep.
Once
Stardew
again,
Valley.
have to be into it, right? Yeah, Stardew Valley. Yeah. An 8-year-old game, right?
Did we ever do a game club on Stardew Valley? I mean, we've talked about it on the
pretty sure
show.
we have.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Stardew Valley was the only other one that you hadn't talked about or that we hadn't had already on my list, so.
Yeah. Pretty sure we've done Stardew Valley. Yeah, we did it in 2019. Oh, God. It's been that long.
Yeah. So the next category, Cozy. We've had Neva. Bandle Tale, a League of Legends story. Bandle Tale is a crafting RPG loosely set in the world of the esports sensation League of Legends. Play as a knitting-obsessed Yordi? After interconnected portals are destroyed at a party gone awry, you have to repair them by collecting ingredients and making friends around Bandle City. So there you go.
Okay, well, I have a game that I definitely don't know. Baltaro.
You mean Balatro?
Balatro, sorry. Roguelite deck builder where you try to just break the game essentially. A hell of a lot of fun for a quick pickup or for extended play section.
Yeah. I'm skipping the ones that we've already had. So, Botany Manor. Basically a game about growing plants. Mm-hmm. Like long dead, extinct plants. Neat.
Yeah, Tiny Glade, a combination of The Sims and City Skylines.
Okay.
Build freeform cottages, bridges, castles, and more without any pressures or grid constraints. Tiny Glade's easy-to-use tools are perfect for beginners. Now the question is this a toy game or an act? Or has some sort of meat to its bones, because there are it looks like it's it's more like an artistic game where you're just kind of just building for the sake of building, and there's no there's no failure states, there's no something you're pushing towards. It's more like a sculpting game, which not quite my thing, but go for it, right?
Yeah. Minami Lane, a cozy city builder where your job is to make your street the happiest on Earth. It looks extremely cute. It's only $5. I might buy it.
Crime Scene Cleaner.
I've seen this.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have this one. I know that there was Viscera Cleanup Crew.
Yeah, Viscera. It's like Viscera Space Station Cleanup or something.
Yeah, it looks like it's kind of like an offshoot of that, where you go to a crime scene and clean up, right?
Yeah. That's the last one that we haven't covered on this category.
Botany Manor, Bandle Tale, Memory Lane, you covered that?
Yep.
Okay, just making sure.
Yep.
This is getting faster, huh?
Yep. Alright, next category for new gamers. First one that we haven't done, Paper Mario, The 1,000-Year Door. I mean, it's Paper Mario RPG. That's
the only one on there that we haven't already covered.
Nope.
Are you sure?
Rise of the Golden Idol? Did you get that one?
I thought we did. Go for it.
Rise of the Golden Idol. It says the follow-up to one of my favorite games is 2022. The Rise of the Golden Idol packs intricate mysteries into a timeline many years after the events of the first game. Brilliant callbacks and big-picture puzzles test your understanding of the overarching narrative.
All right, well...
And then, we've definitely done the rest of them. Yeah,
I'm on to the next category. Astra, a mixed reality game, so it's a VR-only title. Where it begins by enveloping your play space in glass. It was mind-bending when my living room began to extend to the stars. Once I reached Jupiter, I teleported down to the surface, and in a closed observation tube, hand gestures, I collected and analyzed elements from the planet using hand gestures. It sounds like it's a very cool experience, but it's a VR only, so... Alright.
Yeah. Moving on to the next category.
Yeah.
Horror thriller. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes? I have no clue. It says Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is an apotheosis of your favorite hand-drawn flash adventure game from the early 2000s with cryptic puzzles and chilling black and white graphics. And it's an exploration horror, psychological horror game.
Okay, my first one is Home Safety Hotline. Hearing noises, seeing things? Call the Home Safety Hotline. Our operators are standing by, waiting to give you the answers you need to protect your home from all manner of pests and household hazards. It's one of these multiple layer games where the primary thing, it feels like a emulator of like a 80s-esque experience.
Yeah.
Of using a computer system, but it feels like there's going to be more further down. Sort of like how Quadrilateral Cowboy or Hypno Space Outlaw. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Where it was like a time capsule of late 90s, early 2000s internet, but then you started getting more into the story and you found things weren't quite as they seem. This feels like what that's going to be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm on the Steam page. Yeah. I think you're right. Okay. Persona 3 Reloaded. I mean, it's Persona 3, but, remastered.
But it's also now the definitive version because with the extra DLC, it has everything that from multiple different versions otherwise, I think. Persona 3 is also the last one where Persona was still had the edge of its predecessor. I'm blanking on the Japanese name of it, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, yes.
Where Persona is a spin-off of another series of RPGs. Magic Galaxy Tension, I think. Or I'm getting close enough, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Where
I do.
Persona 3 still had a little bit of the edge from that. Where Persona 4 and Persona 5 are a lot more happy-go-lucky and colorful.
Yeah.
So I have Mouthwashing. Mouthwashing is cursed. It tells the tale of a wretched freighter marooned in space due to the actions of its intrepid Captain Curly. Now mutated and reduced to gurgled groans and painful sobs, Curly could only stare in abject horror, his one bloodshot eye darting about frantically as he's force-fed painkillers that barely starve off his impending death. 3 time skips and flashbacks, mouthwatering peels back the layers of treachery and dissent until only the raw, palpitating truth is exposed. Okay.
Right. Silent Hill 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's the remake of Silent Hill 2, where they changed a few things, but more or less,
it's Silent Hill.
It's Silent Hill 2. Yeah.
And Dread Delusion. Did you have that one?
I haven't got to it yet. It's
that's my last. That's the only other one. You wake up in a cult prison cell after killing its own god. This apostatic union is bent on eradicating heretics. I mean, okay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at it, and it's probably because I'm not into the genre, but it looks like it's from the late 90s,
Yeah. So we've covered everything from the platformer category already.
Woo! We're really blasting through these now.
Puzzle. Oh, Tactical Breach Wizards.
Yeah, I played the demo of that. It's intriguing.
Yeah. Let's see. Hurling evil traffic, wardens out of windows, Tactical Breach Wizards, preferred method of dealing with foes, only becomes more enjoyable. Cover stage. I mean, yeah. It's like a turn-based strategy kind of puzzle game, right?
It's a tactical game.
Tactical.
I mean, it's right there in the title.
Yeah.
It's like a mixture of a puzzle game and almost like the older like Tom Clancy games, where it's all about your execution of a plan.
Yeah.
And the other one is Cryptmaster, where in this bizarre dungeon adventure where words control everything, fill in the blanks with text or voice, down uncover lost abilities, embark on strange quests, and solve mind-bending riddles. So it's Boggle meets dungeon crawling. Intriguing.
Yeah. Okay. RPG.
Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, not now, latest Like a Dragon RPG, because they just announced another one.
Yeah.
Or the Yakuza series, I guess would be what it's also known as. I'm so far behind on the Yakuza series.
Yeah.
But I want to play them so badly,
Yeah. This okay, so the first game that I have, I want to get and play. Metaphor Refantasio. The game is an JRPG where there's a kingdom where there are like multiple factions vying for power, and it's like supposed to be a much more in-depth look at like different like socio-cultural and economical factors, or sociocultural and economic factors that can lead to like being a successful like rebel uprising, seizing power, and then managing the government afterwards, all packaged into a JRPG. I'm very interested in playing this game.
Okay, well, I have SteamWorld Heist 2, which is the sequel to SteamWorld Heist, as you might imagine. A squad tactics turn-based. XCOM is, using their description, a fair but not quite fair description of how the fights work. It's a turn-based, like 2D shooter. Only XCOM always, for me, invokes the idea of shooting somebody point blank in the face and missing.
Yeah.
This, at least the previous one, as long as you're able to figure out the angles, your shots are true. It's all about the 2D shooter aspect of it, bouncing shots around and that sort of thing, and also not killing your own guys.
Yeah. So, skipping over to the simulation category, as the RPG and the shooter didn't have anything new in it, we have got Timberborn, which is like a city builder
with beavers.
Beavers, yeah. Very cute. Very cute.
Mm-hmm. I think I gave that to his Cubeness one year.
Yeah, it's several years old, I think, at this point. 2 or 3. I might have that slightly wrong, but...
And I don't see anything new in strategy, so we did it!
Well, no, there's one more, unless you said this one and I missed it. Manor Lords?
Oh, I completely missed Manor Lords,
yeah.
Sorry.
Manor Lords is a combination city builder, real-time strategy, life simulator.
Yeah, I've played
medieval era.
I played the early access on Game Pass when it came out, and there's something there, but there's not enough meat on the bones to really make a judgment about it yet. Or at least when I originally played it. I'm not sure if there's been updates since then or not. I just found that there was too much placeholder. There was too much missing to really be able to dive too far into it.
Yeah.
But that's early access for it. So. And it's also all freeform, so there's no like grid system that so many city builders has. So yay, we did it.
We did it.
Time to go to bed.
Given that it's 1 a.m., hey Rage, how can people get in touch with us and send us things and whatnot?
VGLpodcast@gmail.com, Twitter, VGL Podcast, Blue Sky? You need to do that at some point.
We need, yeah.
But yeah, or drop by the Discord, which you can find a link to that over at VGLpodcast at VGLpodcast.podbean.com. It's right there at the top. Or at least it should be. Unless somebody's been mucking with the templates again.
I don't think I did that, but I guess it's possible.
Our lovely patrons have made this madness possible. Patreon.com/VGLpodcast. Our intro and outro music is on the ground by Gameclub. You can find his work over at Computech.com. Unless you want to plug something.
No, I don't do Twitter anymore. Blue Sky, JMA4707 on Blue Sky. That's it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.